I was at the slide with my daughter when a little boy ran up to me. "Mister," he asked. "Can I have your daughter?" Chucking it up to dumb kid talk. I just laughed. "She's my whole world, buddy. Can't just give her away." He looked me dead in the eye. "So what if she died? Would you be sad?" Then I scooped up my daughter, feeling a cold dread crawl up my spine. I'd never seen this kid before. This playground was a community project. I knew pretty much every little brat who came to play here. My gut screamed that this kid was a scout for some scumbag kidnapper. I got my daughter the hell out of there. Back home, I laid down the law. Stay away from that playground for a while. Don't go near that boy. And for fuck's sake, don't take any candy from him or go anywhere with him. My daughter just nodded, her eyes wide. A few days later, my daughter drops a bombshell. She saw the boy leading the daughter of the woman who runs the bakery across the street away somewhere. She thought about following, but she remembered what I said and chickened out. The bakery is run by a single mom named Hannah and her 4-year-old Katie. She's divorced and everyone in the neighborhood knows she has it tough. So we all try to look out for her. I immediately called Hannah, but the call went straight to voicemail. She must have been out on a cake delivery. About an hour and a half later, Hannah burst into my diner like a goddamn hurricane. Wild-eyed and frantic, she grabbed my daughter by the shoulders. "Where's Katie? Tell me." My daughter was so scared she could barely speak. I told Hannah to call 911 right away, then went with her to search. But the trail went cold. The second they crossed the main road, the cops were on it fast. Using my description and footage from nearby security cameras, they found the boy that same night. His name was Leo. Leo swore up and down he hadn't taken Katie. His parents backed him up, flying through their teeth that their son had been home all day. The cops showed them the surveillance footage, blowing their bullshit story to pieces. That's when Leo, the little shit, finally mumbled, "I'm not 12 yet. So I don't have to go to jail, right?" Leo led us to a derelict construction site nearby and pointed to a small freshly dug pit in the ground. "She's in there." The cops dug away the loose dirt and found a styrofoam cooler, kind you get from Amazon deliveries. They pried the lid open. Katie was crammed inside, curled into a ball. Her eyes were wide open, her mouth slightly agape, her face a mask of pure terror. Hannah just fucking broke. She lunged at Leo, trying to tear him apart. But the cops managed to hold her back. The police had Leo recount the whole thing. His clarity, his step-by-step logic sent a fucking icicle through my heart. Leo said he found the pit at the construction site and got the idea to bury something alive in it. First he tried a stray cat, but it scratched its way out. Immediately a failure. So Leo switched his target to a kid. But the hole was too small. So the little psychopath tied 2 shoelaces together to measure the pit's dimensions. Whenever he found a potential target, he'd measure them with the shoelace first before trying to snatch them. He also said he only picked little girls. They were easier to control. And he added, their bodies are softer, easier to fold. "Did you kill her first? Then put her in?" one of the cops asked. His voice tight, Leo shook his head. "I had her lie down in it herself." He'd set up a sick game. First, he had Katie lie down in a couple of big cardboard boxes and gave her chocolates, making her think it was all for fun. Then he told her to get into the styrofoam cooler he placed in the pit. Katie, trusting him completely, did it without a second thought. Once she was in, I put the wooden board over the top, stacked a few bricks on it and started burying it. Leo said Katie started struggling, so he jumped on top of the board and stomped on it a few times until she stopped moving. Hannah didn't even make it through the whole story before she collapsed. The cops rushed her to the hospital. I overheard one of the veteran cops muttering, "Jesus fucking Christ. All my years on the force, I've never seen an animal like this. If his parents weren't here, I'd beat the shit out of this little fucker myself." Once word got out about what happened to Katie, the whole neighborhood was up in arms. People kept coming to me asking for Leo's address, wanting to get some payback for Hannah. But the law protects the privacy of juvenile offenders. The cops made it crystal clear. If I leaked any of Leo's personal information, I'd be held liable. A few days later, Anna came to my diner sobbing. The DA was dropping the case. The reason, Leo was under 12. No criminal liability. The police had no choice but to close the case according to the law. I was fucking speechless. Leo murdered a child. And he wouldn't even see the inside of a courtroom, let alone a jail cell. What kind of justice is that? The cops said, even if I sue, The prosecutor won't take the case. The most I can do is file a civil suit for damages against his parents. But what amount of money can bring my daughter back? Oh, who can give me justice for her? Hannah cried so hard it looked like her eyes were bleeding. To make matters a million times worse, Leo's parents wouldn't even apologize. They just stopped answering Hannah's calls. Even when the police tried to mediate, they just said they were busy. No time to deal with her. My wife. Her. Heartbreaking for Hannah. Made her some soup. We're all mothers, she said softly. Some things happen and there's nothing anyone can do. You're still young. You can meet someone. Have another baby. Think of it as Katie coming back to you. Hannah's voice was a raw whisper. Can't get over it. Every time I close my eyes, I hear her crying, telling me she can't rest in peace. My heart feels like it's been stabbed 100 fucking times. We're all parents. We felt her pain in our bones. We convinced her to at least claim Katie's body and arrange the funeral. We could think about lawsuits later. The wake was held in her bakery. All the neighbors came. It was just an endless loop of empty condolences. Hannah cried until she had nothing left. Numb to everything. During the gathering, Frank from the barbecue joint said that maybe Hannah should have been more careful. And a bunch of the women fucking eviscerated him. Why don't you try watching a kid for one day? You asshole? You think we don't have to eat or piss big? Tony the butcher chain smoked. His face grim. If this happened to my kid, I'd got that little bastard myself jail. Time be damned. It's a damn shame. A good woman like Hannah doesn't have a man to go to bat for her. Hannah doesn't have much family. So my wife and I helped out where we could. My daughter Lily was playing near the door. I called her over, telling her not to wander off. She just nodded silently. I thought that was weird. Usually she'd argue back. Today she was a perfect little angel. Then she grinned and my blood ran cold. I saw the chocolate smeared on her teeth. We banned her from sweets because of her cavities. Did Hannah give you that? She shook her head. A boy gave it to me. What boy? The one who took Katie, he said. Katie didn't finish. These wave of pure cold terror washed over me. I immediately handed Lily to my wife and told her. Watch her. Don't let her out of your sight for a single fucking second. I got a few guys together and we searched the area. But there was no sign of Leo. The little shit had vanished. The more I thought about it, the more I panicked. If Leo had just grabbed my daughter instead. Found another little ditch and buried her, too. I absolutely could not let that happen. That night, I secretly told Hannah that Leo had approached my daughter. Her eyes blazed with fury. She grabbed my arm, her nails digging in. Next time you tell me sooner, I'll kill him. Myself. I looked at the black and white photo of Katie. Her little toothy smile frozen in time. I made a decision. Do you really want revenge? I asked quietly. I have a way and I can make sure you don't go to jail for it. Hannah didn't hesitate for a second. She agreed. So I had my daughter play outside like normal, while Hannah and I took turns watching from the shadows, waiting for Leo. We kept this up for almost a month. Finally, I saw him. The sneaky little fuck lurking around the playground again. I called Lily, told her to head home now. Just as I predicted, Leo started following her. I was right behind him in my van on a street with no cameras. I snatched him. I took him to the warehouse behind Hannah's bakery. She was waiting. A photo of Katie on a small table, with a stick of incense burning in front of it. It's okay, sweetie, she whispered to the photo. Mommy's going to help you rest now. Leo was crying and struggling. Ma'am. I'm just a kid. How can you hurt a kid? How can you hurt a kid? The question hung in the stale air of the warehouse, smelling of old flour and industrial grease. Leo's voice cracked perfectly on the last word. It was a performance. I knew it, but my stomach still turned. There is a biological imperative in a grown man that screams against harming a child, no matter what that child has done. I looked at Hannah. The woman who had burst into my diner like a hurricane was gone. In her place stood a statue carved from ice. She didn't look at Leo, she looked at the incense smoke curling up around Katie's picture. You're not a kid, Leo, Hannah said. Her voice was terrifyingly steady. You forfeited that when you measured my daughter with a shoelace. I want my dad. Leo shrieked, thrashing against the zip ties binding his wrists to the heavy steel prep table. My dad's a lawyer. He'll sue you. He'll put you in jail forever. I stepped forward, my boots heavy on the concrete floor. I grabbed the back of the chair and leaned in close. Your dad isn't here, Leo. And the cops? They think you ran away. A guilty conscience, they'll say. Or maybe you went looking for another victim and got lost. No one is coming. Leo's eyes darted between us. The tears stopped instantly. The switch was so sudden it gave me vertigo. The trembling lip vanished, replaced by a cold, dead stare that looked 40 years old. You won't kill me, he said flatly. You're normal people. Normal people don't kill. We aren't normal people anymore, Hannah whispered, picking up a rolling pin. She didn't raise it to strike. She just held it, feeling the weight. We're parents. She turned to me. Bring the box. I went to the back where the delivery crates were stacked. We had prepared this. I dragged out a large, heavy-duty wooden crate, reinforced with steel brackets. It was roughly the size of a styrofoam cooler, but longer. Leo craned his neck. What's that? A game, I said, echoing his words to Katie. Lie down in it. Leo laughed. It was a dry, rasping sound. I'm not stupid like her. I'm not getting in that. Hannah moved fast. I hadn't seen her move like that since before Katie died. She slammed the rolling pin onto the metal table, the clang echoing like a gunshot. You don't get a choice. You think Katie had a choice? You think she wanted to curl up in the dark? She grabbed him by the collar of his expensive polo shirt. Get in. We forced him in. He fought, kicking and biting, a feral animal. I took a hit to the shin that nearly buckled me, but adrenaline is a hell of a drug. We got him into the crate and I sat on the lid while Hannah drilled the screws in. Not all the way. Just enough to keep him trapped. From inside, the muffled screaming began. Please. It's dark. I don't like the dark. Hannah sat on the floor next to the box, her knees pulled to her chest. She looked at me, her eyes red-rimmed but dry. Now we wait, she said. He kept her in there for 4 hours before he stomped on the board. He needs to understand the time. The wait was the hardest part. For the first hour, Leo screamed threats. He detailed what his father would do to us. For the second hour, he bargained. He offered money. He offered to tell us where he hid the other things. That made my blood freeze. Other things? By the third hour, he was weeping. Genuine, terrified weeping. Is it enough? I asked quietly, checking my watch. The sun was going down outside. The shadows in the warehouse were stretching long and thin, like skeletal fingers. Hannah stood up. She walked to the box and kicked it. Hard. No, she said. It's not enough. Katie died. He's just scared. She looked at me, and I saw the fracture in her soul. I can't just let him go, Jack. If we let him go, he wins. He kills again. He kills Lily next. The mention of my daughter hardened my heart. I thought of the chocolate on Lily's teeth. The proximity of death. We stick to the plan, I said. The plan wasn't to kill him here. That was too messy. The plan was to make him disappear. Part 2, the search. The police were faster than we expected. The next morning, the missing child alert went out for Leo. His parents were on the news, the mother sobbing into a silk handkerchief, the father looking indignant, threatening the police for their incompetence. They played the grieving parents well, but I remembered how they had ignored Hannah. Detective Thorne came to my diner around lunch. I was flipping burgers, the grease popping on the grill. I forced my hands to remain steady. Jack, Thorne said, sitting at the counter. He looked tired. Coffee. I poured him a cup. Sad business about the kid, I said. Leo. Thorne sipped the coffee, watching me over the rim. Is it? Most of the neighborhood seems to think it's divine intervention. Or karma. He's a child, I said, reciting the line I'd practiced in the mirror. No matter what he did, he's still a kid. He's a monster, Thorne corrected. But the law is the law. We have to find him. You see anything? You were pretty vocal about the injustice of it all. I was angry, I admitted, wiping the counter. I'm still angry. But I've got a business to run. I've got Lily to watch. I don't have time to chase bad seeds. Thorne stared at me for a long moment. He was a veteran, he knew how to read people. He was looking for the twitch, the bead of sweat. I gave him nothing but the exhausted face of a short-order cook. Hannah, Thorne said suddenly. Have you seen her? She's closed the bakery for a few days, I said. Morning. I stopped by, Thorne said. She wasn't home. Car's gone. She probably went to visit her sister upstate, I lied. Hannah didn't have a sister. But Thorne didn't know that yet. Right, Thorne said. He stood up, dropping a 5 on the counter. If you hear anything, Jack. Anything at all. You call me. Don't do something that takes you away from your little girl. That was a warning. He knew. Or he suspected. I closed the diner early and drove to the construction site on the edge of town, not the one where Katie was found, but a new one. A massive foundation being poured for a new shopping complex. My cousin Vinny was the foreman. We'd helped each other out of scrapes before. I had Leo in the back of the van, bound and gagged, hidden under a pile of tablecloths. Hannah met me there. She looked like she hadn't slept in a week. Is it done? She asked. Thorne is sniffing around, I said. We have to move fast. Tonight. We dragged Leo out. He was weak, dehydrated, and terrified. The arrogance was gone. He was just a small, shivering thing. For a second, I hesitated. Then Leo spoke. The gag had slipped slightly. You're going to jail, he whispered, his voice raspy. And when I get out, I'm going to find your daughter. And I'm going to make sure the hole is big enough this time. That killed the hesitation. It wasn't anger anymore. It was sanitation. Part 3, The Foundation. The construction site was a graveyard of steel rebar and wet mud. The cement trucks were scheduled to pour the main foundation of the parking garage at 4 a.m. It was currently 2 a.m. There was a section of the foundation, deep in the corner, where the rebar formed a cage. A deep, rectangular void that would soon be filled with tons of concrete. Down there, Hannah said, pointing to the void. We lowered Leo into the pit. It was about 6 feet deep. He landed in the mud. He tried to climb the rebar, but his hands were tied. Please, he sobbed. I'm sorry. I'm sorry about Katie. I won't do it again. Hannah stood at the edge, looking down. The moonlight caught the tears on her face. You don't know what sorry means, Leo. You only know what caught feels like. Hannah, I said softly. We have to go. The crew will be here in an hour. I want to hear him say it, she said. Say what? That he's scared. I want him to admit he's scared to die. Leo looked up, his face streaked with mud. I don't want to die, he wailed. Mommy. Dad. Hannah nodded, a dark satisfaction settling over her features. She reached into her bag and pulled out a small chocolate bar. The same brand Leo had used to lure Katie. She tossed it down into the pit. For the trip, she said. We covered the top of the rebar cage with a heavy tarp and weighed it down with scrap metal, making it look like just another pile of construction debris. When the cement trucks came, they wouldn't look underneath. They would just pour. As we walked back to the van, the sound of Leo's screaming was muffled by the wind. Are you okay? I asked Hannah. She stopped and looked back at the dark skeleton of the building. No, she said. I'll never be okay. But Katie can sleep now. Part 4, The Aftermath. 2 weeks passed. The search for Leo intensified, then tapered off. His parents hired a private investigator, a sleek guy in a suit who came around asking questions, but he got nowhere. The community was a stone wall. No one liked the Millers. No one missed Leo. The shopping complex foundation was finished. The concrete had cured. Leo was now a permanent part of the architecture, buried under 10 feet of stone and steel. I tried to go back to normal. I cooked burgers. I walked Lily to school. But the world felt different. I carried a secret that weighed 1,000 pounds. Every time I saw a police car, my heart hammered. Then came the letter. It was in my mailbox, no return address. Just my name scrawled in handwriting that looked disturbingly familiar. I opened it in the kitchen, my hands shaking. It was a drawing. A crude, crayon drawing of a girl in a box. And next to it, a boy standing on top of the box, smiling. Underneath, in block letters, I know. My blood ran cold. I drove straight to Hannah's bakery. The closed sign was still up, but the door was unlocked. I rushed in. Hannah. We have a problem. Someone knows. Silence. The bakery was cold. The display cases were empty. I walked into the back kitchen. Hannah was there. She was sitting on the floor, leaning against the industrial mixer. She was holding a bottle of pills. Empty. Hannah. I rushed to her, checking for a pulse. It was faint, thready. On her lap was a letter, identical to the one I received. And a photo. The photo showed Leo, weeks ago, standing with another boy. A taller, older boy. Maybe 15. They were holding a dead cat between them like a trophy. On the back of the photo was written, Leo was just the apprentice. The realization hit me like a physical blow. The other things Leo had mentioned. The confidence. He wasn't working alone. There was someone else. Someone older. Someone who was watching us right now. I called 911 for Hannah. I had to. Part 5, The Apprentice. Hannah survived, barely. They pumped her stomach. When she woke up in the hospital, I was there. I showed her the photo. There's another one, I said grimly. Leo had a mentor. Hannah's eyes, which had been dull and lifeless, suddenly sparked. The will to live returned, fueled by a new, terrible purpose. Who is he? I don't know, I said. But he sent us this. He's taunting us. He knows what we did to Leo, and he thinks it's a game. We started digging. Not literally this time, but into the neighborhood. I utilized the gossip network of the diner. Who did Leo hang out with? Who was the bad influence? The name that kept popping up was Caleb. Caleb Thorne. The detective's son. My heart stopped. Detective Thorne, the man who had been investigating Leo. The man who seemed sympathetic. His son was 15. A loner. Smart. I started watching the Thorne house. I saw Caleb. He was a tall, lanky kid with dead eyes, always wearing a hoodie. I saw him watching the neighborhood kids. I saw him watching Lily. One night, I followed Caleb. He didn't go to a playground. He went to the construction site. The shopping complex. He stood on the newly poured concrete of the parking garage, right over the spot where Leo was buried. He lit a cigarette and tapped the ash onto the ground. He was paying his respects. Or maybe he was laughing. I took a picture of him there. Part 6, The Confrontation. I couldn't go to the police. The police were his father. I went to Thorne. I invited him to the diner after hours. Just us. I put the closed sign up and poured 2 coffees. Jack, Thorne said, looking weary. You seem on edge. I slid the photo of Caleb at the construction site across the counter. Your son visits the site a lot, detective. Thorne looked at the photo. His face didn't change. Kids like construction sites. I used to play in them too. I also got a drawing, I said. Of a girl in a box. Sent to my house. Sent to Hannah. Thorne's hand froze halfway to his cup. The silence in the diner was heavy enough to crush us. Caleb is a troubled boy, Thorne said slowly. His mother left us when he was young. He has difficulty connecting. He was teaching Leo, I said. Leo was the practice dummy. Caleb is the architect. Thorne sighed. A deep, rattling sound. He reached into his jacket. I tensed, grabbing the knife I had taped under the counter. But Thorne didn't pull a gun. He pulled out a badge. He set it on the counter and spun it. I found Leo's shoe, Thorne said softly. In your van. When I came by that day, I looked in the window. You missed one. I stopped breathing. I didn't say anything, Thorne continued. Because I saw the crime scene photos of Katie. I saw what that animal did. And I knew the law couldn't fix it. He looked up at me, his eyes full of a terrible pain. But Caleb. Caleb is my son. He's going to kill someone, I said. If he hasn't already. He knows what we did to Leo. He's taunting us. He's targeting my daughter, Thorne. Thorne closed his eyes. I know. I found his journal. Thorne stood up. He looked 10 years older than he had when he walked in. I can't arrest my own son, Jack. I can't put him in the system. They'll analyze him, they'll study him, and then they'll let him out when he's 18 with a clean slate, just like Leo would have gotten. So what are we going to do? Thorne put his hat on. I'm taking Caleb fishing tomorrow. Early. Up at the cabin by the lake. The water is very deep there. Accidents happen. Boats capsize. I stared at him. The lawman. The father. He was making a choice that no parent should ever have to make. But he was making it to save my daughter. To save the neighborhood. Are you sure? I asked. He smiled, Thorne whispered. When I told him Leo was missing. Caleb smiled. Part 7, The End of the Line. The next day, the news reported a tragic boating accident. Detective Thorne and his son had gone fishing. The boat had overturned in rough waters. Both bodies were recovered. Thorne had held his son down. The autopsy showed bruising on Caleb's shoulders. But the coroner, an old friend of Thorne's, ruled it drowning by misadventure. Thorne had taken himself out to ensure the job was done. To ensure he didn't have to live with it. The neighborhood quieted down. The fear slowly evaporated. Hannah reopened the bakery. She was different now, harder, quieter, but she was alive. She baked cakes for Lily's birthday. We didn't talk about the concrete foundation or the boating accident. Years passed. The shopping complex opened. It was a bright, bustling place. There was a playground near the entrance. Sometimes, I'd sit on the bench there, watching Lily play. She was older now, safe, happy. I'd look at the pavement of the parking garage. Thousands of people walked over it every day, carrying their groceries, laughing, living their lives. None of them knew what lay beneath their feet. I knew. Hannah knew. One afternoon, Hannah sat next to me on the bench. We shared a silence that was louder than words. Do you think we're going to hell? She asked, watching the children play. I watched Lily laugh as she went down the slide. The same slide where Leo had first approached me. I thought about the monsters in the world. The Leos. The Calebs. And the people like us, the gatekeepers who had to become monsters to stop them. I took Hannah's hand. It was warm. If we are, I said, at least we'll be there to stand between them and the kids. Hannah squeezed my hand. A ghost of a smile touched her lips. I made a strawberry pie, she said. For Lily. She'd love that, I said. The sun set over the playground, casting long shadows. But for the first time in a long time, the darkness didn't feel scary. It just felt like a shield. We got up and walked home, leaving the monsters buried in the dark, where they belonged.